So this paper is for M3, January 2020. Question 1, it says silver side costs £4.90 per kilogram, top side costs £5.75 per kilogram, fillet costs £13 per kilogram. Martin buys 4.5 kilograms of fillet. So if you've got 4.5 kilograms of fillet and fillet costs £13 per kilogram, then the first thing that you would do is to multiply 4.5 by 13. This will give you £58.50. This is the total cost of the fillet. So if you've got the total cost of the fillet, you can take it away from the total cost overall. So £92.31, take away £58.50. And what we've got is £33.81, which basically is what the silver side costs. So it's asking you how much silver side does he buy. So if it costs £33.81 for the silver side, we can divide with the £4.90, and we can find when we divide this, it will be 6.9 kilograms. That is how much he bought. So question 2a says calculate the value of 2 divided by 0.4 squared. So the first thing I've done is just put 0.4 squared into the calculator and you get 0.16. And so now you're dividing by 2 divided by 0.16, which is 12.5. Just put it into your calculator and that's what you should get. Calculate the cube of 6. So cube of 6 just means 6 cubed. And when we put this into a calculator, it's 216. Question C is from the numbers in the list, write down all the prime numbers. So the prime numbers in this list is 19 and 31. It is not 1. 1 is not a prime number. A lot of people get that mistake. So it's 19 and 31. So prime numbers is when you only itself and 1 can be multiplied to make the number. So 19 you multiply 1 times 19 to make 19, and 1 times 31. Those are the only two numbers that would make 19 and 31. Square numbers out of this list is 36, 1 and 49. So square numbers, 6 times 6 is 36, 1 times 1 is 1, and 7 times 7 is 49. So for question 3, it says complete the table below for 4, y equals 4x minus 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3 as the x components of it, and that's taken from the graph here. So what you're looking for here is in the table, you can see the equation is y equals 4 multiplied by x, take away 3. That's what that means. So we take the 1 from the x there, 4 times 1, take away 3, and that's 1. Then we do the same for 2, 4 times 2, take away 3, and that would be 5. Then you do the same for 3, so 4 times 3, take away 3, is 9. And as you can see, the points on there is 1, 1, 2, 5, and 3, 9. And then you just draw your straight line. So question 4 is a volume question. A tank is in the shape of a cuboid, as shown below. The tank is used to store 11.13 meters cubed of liquid. How deep is the liquid in this tank? So normally to get volume, you would do length times width times height, with multiplying these 3 numbers. But we've got a missing one, and the volume has been given in the question. So to work out this length here for the question mark, you do 3 times 1.4. And then next you would take the volume and you would divide by 4.2 there, which is 2.65. That is the answer. So if you multiply 2.65 times 3 times 1.4, you should get 11.13. Question 5 is an angles question, so work out the size of the angle marked X in the diagram below. You can see a four-sided shape here, so it's a quadrilateral. So the first thing you would do is to add all the angles that you have. So that should add up to 278. The next step you would do is to do 360 take away 278. That's because the four-sided shape, all the angles inside a four-sided shape would add up to 360. So to find the missing one, this is what we do, and we'll find that this one here is 82. So we can see the X is along a straight line, and there's two of those angles. So straight line would be 180, take away 82, which is 98. And that's the final answer for that one. So question 6 is a pie chart. You can see the frequency in the middle column there, and they're asking you to draw a pie chart. Now I've already drawn it here, but how to work it to get to this point is, first thing you would do is to add up your frequency, which is 180. And the next thing you would do is you would divide that with 180, so it's 360 divided by 180, which is 2 degrees. So we're using 360 because it's a circle here, and all the angles around a point here would add up to 360. So once we've got that 2 degrees, we can apply it to all the numbers in the frequency column. Just multiply everything by 2, and then your angles for each one would be 130, obviously, for 65 times 2 and 32 times 2 and all that. Once you've got all that, all these numbers on the last column should add up to 360. If they don't, then something's gone wrong somewhere. And then you can use your protractor, draw your angles out. There is a line that was already drawn on the original question. You use that and draw your angles around this point here. So this question is a two-way table question, but it's just a box filling exercise really. So a hotel has single twin rooms. It offers room only, bed and breakfast or half board. On Saturday night, all the rooms in the hotel were booked. Some information is shown in this two-way table, and then it's just to fill in everything there. So you can see here it's 2 and 1, and this is the total here. So 2 plus 1 is 3, and then take it away from 7, which is 4. And we do this with everything. So 4 plus 3, and that would be 11. And we keep filling in all these. So we add up 4, 11, 10, and that's 25 here. And we keep doing that. We keep filling in these boxes. So eventually you'll get it all filled up like this. So it says how many rooms are in the hotel. And you can see this bit here is where the totals merge together. It's 25. And that is how many rooms there is. So question 8 is a percentage question. So it says Streetwise Youth Club has 86 members. 59 of the members attended last week. What percentage attended last week? Give your answer to 1 decimal place. So the way you look at it is 59 out of 86 members attended last week, and this is how you would write it as a fraction. And to change this fraction to a percentage, you just multiply by 100. So the actual answer is 68.604%, and I've just rounded it to 1 decimal place. So question 9, it says circles with diameter 10 centimeters are cut from a sheet of plastic as shown below. Calculate the area of each circle. So what we need is a formula for the area of a circle, and it's area equals pi r squared. So we need the radius for this. You can see in this circle here, it's the diameter. So we need to half the 10 here. So half of 10 is 5, and that's what we put into our formula. Put it into a calculator, and this is what you get. So that's the area of one circle. So it's asking you how many circles can be cut from the sheet of plastic. you kind of work out how many circles would fit going width going down the way. So you can see this, if the diameter is 10 centimeters each, then it's going to fit down with five circles there. So if we look lengthwise, we know 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So what you'll find is 10 circles would fit along that length there. So what you're doing there is you multiply by 5 multiply by 10. So 5 is your width and 10 is your length of that. And we should have 50 circles altogether in that sheet of plastic. So what is the area of plastic left over after the maximum number of circles have been cut out? So we can say that this one here is, I've multiplied 100 multiplied by 50. So 100 is the 1 meter being changed to 100 centimeters. So that's 100 centimeters multiplied by 50 centimeters, which gives you the total area of the rectangle. So that would be 5,000 centimeters squared. The next one is you want to find the total area of the circles that's within that rectangle. And you know there's 50 circles and you're multiplying, there's 50 lots of 78.5398. So the total area surface of the circles is 3926.99 centimeters squared. Now to find out, once the circles have been cut out, to find out what's left, we just take those two values away. So you've got 5,000 take away 3926.99, and that would be 1,073.1 centimeters squared left over. Okay, so question 10 is quite a long one. You can see down the bottom there, it's a 6-mark question, so there is quite a lot of information there. So Julie works in a market stall. One Saturday she has 42 boxes of candles to sell. Each box cost her £2.40. There are 18 candles in each box. During the day she sells 34 boxes at £3.60 each. In the last hour she starts to sell the remaining candles individually at 35 pence each. At the end of the day she has only 12 candles left. Calculate the profit she made that day. So when you're looking for profit, what you want to do is find out how much she bought them for and how much she sold them for. And then you would take that away to find how much she made on profit. So we have to start somewhere. So we can find out 42 times £2.40. So this is how much she bought the whole thing for. You can see in the first couple of lines there, one Saturday she had 42 boxes of candles to sell. Each box cost her £2.40. So you find out the total cost of what she bought it for. So now we're kind of focusing on how much she sold after that. So the next calculation I've got here is 34 multiplied by £3.60. Now you can see that this is in one line. She sells, during the day, she sells 34 boxes at £3.60 each. So you want to see how much she's made for that. So 34 boxes at £3.60, and she made £122.40 there when she sold them. Now if she sold 34 boxes, then you find out how many boxes she's left. So you take 42, take away 34. The next calculation is, I've done 8 multiplied by 18. So we know there's 8 boxes left. Now you can see in this line here, there are 18 candles in each box. So you want to find out the total amount of candles she has, because in the last hour she starts to sell the remaining candles individually. So this is what we're doing here. So 8 multiplied by 18 means that out of those 8 boxes she's got 144 candles left. But I've taken 12 away from this. This is because at the end of the day she has only 12 candles left. So that means that when you take those away, take the ones that she hasn't sold, that means that she's sold 132 candles individually. Now, if she sold the candles individually, you need to know how much she got for that. So you can see that she sold each one for 35 pence, and that's what we've done here. So 132 multiplied by 35, and I've given the answer in pence here, but I've changed it then to pounds. So we've got everything here that we need. So we've got what she bought it for, and we've got the total, well, obviously each individual bit that she sold it for. So we just kind of add our 122.40 and 46.20. That is what she sold them for. She is 46.20 and 122.40. So this is how much she actually made out of £168.60. Now, to see if she made profit and how much profit, you can see that I've done £168.60 take away £100.80. Just remember the £100.80 is what she bought them for initially. So what that means is she's made £67.80 in profit. So question 11, it says, which of these shapes is the greatest perimeter? Now you see that like 4x plus 1 in shape A was given as the bottom of that triangle. You can see the lines in this triangle here. That just means it's an equilateral triangle. So that means all the sides are equal. So I've just added 4x plus 1 to each of those. Shape B is a rectangle, so you know that 4x plus 3 is and 2x plus 1. So just filling in these things here on your rectangle. So what has the greatest perimeter? So you look at shape A, and to get the perimeter of any shape, you have to add all the lengths around that shape. So as you can see there, all I've done is 4x plus 1 plus 4x plus 1 plus 4x plus 1. And you collect your like terms. So like this one is 4x plus 4x plus 4x is 12x. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. For shape B, you can see it's a rectangle, so it's perimeter again, so you're adding all the way around the shapes there. So like you've got 4x plus 3 plus 2x minus 1 plus 4x plus 3 plus 2x minus 1. Collect the like terms, 4x plus 2x plus 4x plus 2x. You'll find that that's 12x. 3 take away 1 plus 3 take away 1. And you'll find that that would be 4. Next one is shape C. Just add everything around there. 2x plus 3x plus 6x would be 12x, and plus 2 is just left on its own there. So to find out what has the greatest perimeter, you can see everything's got 12x here. So the only thing you're looking at is where the biggest number there is, and you can see 4 would be bigger compared to the other ones, so that's the perimeter would be B. A quicker way of adding it up, you would just take it from the shapes, and just, if you look at that one, 4x plus 4x plus 4x is 12x, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So you can actually take it from the shape as well. So question 12 is a table in averages, and you can see I've written all the numbers down here. This will come apparent when we do this question. So the shopkeeper states on average people spend at least £15 on a gift voucher. By finding all three averages, mode, median and mean, which average makes her statement correct? So the first one we want to look at is the mode. And I've put mode is the most common number, and I've put £5. You can see the frequency, 5 occurs 34 times. So £5 is the mode. Then we look at median, the middle number. So for this one, you can do 80 plus 1 divided by 2, but in this way you could get away with just doing half an 80 to find out where the middle number is. And the middle number is around the 40th number. So what you're doing is you start from the top and work your way down from the frequency. Start at 0, 0 plus 34, 34 plus 26, and then you can see 34th number and the 60th number is in the second row here. So you know the 40th number is contained within that. So £10 would be the median for this. So the next part is we're looking for the mean, and this is where all those numbers come in. You can see here is what you're doing here is you multiply by 5, multiply by 34, 10, multiply by 26, and you just multiply across and you get those values once you key into a calculator. Then you get the total of the last column there and the total of the frequency column here, and you just divide those two numbers. So it's 1360 divided by 80, which then is the mean of £17. So the question says, or the statement says, the shopkeeper states, on average spend at least £15 on a gift voucher. Which average makes her statement correct? So you can see it is the mean, because £17 is more than 15 because it says at least £15. So question 13 is a substitution question. So it tells you that BMI, body mass index, is calculated using a formula, and it's got a formula here. So the BI is the weight divided by your height squared. Mark has a BMI of 22 and his height is 1.83 meters. Calculate his height. So it's just a substitution question. You see that I've started with the actual formula there, and then I've just substituted it in. So BMI is now 22 and your height squared is now going to be 1.83 squared. And you take the 1.83 squared and you move it across to the other side. Now this is division. It will change when you move across the other side of the equation. It then changes to a multiplication. So then that would be 22 multiplied by 1.83 squared, which is equal to the weight, and then you just put it into a calculator. So that just means that the weight would be 73.7. So question 14 is an equation that we have here. The first thing that we do when it's asking us to solve it is to multiply out the bracket. So 5 times 3x is 15x, 5 times minus 2 is minus 10. Now what we are aiming for is to get all our x's on one side and all our numbers on the other side. So we're moving the 7x across to the left hand side. This is the positive 7x, so when we move it across it changes to a minus 7x. So it's just the opposite of what you started with. So we start with plus 7x and it changes to minus 7x. This one here is minus 10, so we're moving this across to the right hand side. So we started with a negative or a minus, and so the opposite of a minus would be a plus, so we end up with plus 10 on the other side. We collect our like terms, or kind of tidy this up. So 15x take away 7x is 8x, and 4 plus 10 is 14. Then we just move the 8 across, so you can see that's multiplying with the x. So when we move it across to the other side, it's the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So it ends up as 14 divided by 8. And that is the answer to that particular question. So question 15, it says a badge is made from a triangle and 3/4 of a circle. So I've highlighted the 3/4 of a circle. And it's talking about working out the perimeter of the badge. So when we're talking about circles, we're kind of looking at not the area of a circle, so it's not pi r squared. We're looking for the other one, which is 2 pi r, or even pi d if you wanted to use that. So this one here is, it says 3/4. So basically what you're doing here is you do 3/4 of the 2 pi r. So this is the circumference of the whole circle. But anytime you see something in a question that says 3/4 or semicircle, then you have to either half it or 3/4 it. So 3/4, you put that in your calculator, 2 pi r, 2 times pi times, and it's 6 is the radius. So you just key that in the calculator and this is what you would get. The next step, as you can see, is a right angle triangle, and what we're looking for is the straight edge here, because we're looking for the perimeter of the whole thing. So we're looking for the straight edge. So you can see the right angle triangle there. It's got 6 and 6 and then x. So because we're looking for the hypotenuse, we're squaring these two 6 and 6, and we're taking them down here and squaring them and adding them together. So when we do that, it's 72, and then when we're getting rid of this square, it comes across the other side, and the opposite of a square is a square root. So now we have the square root of 72, and then we key in the calculator, and this is what we get. So to find out the perimeter, this length here is basically this curved length of the shape, and this length here with 8.48 and so on is the length of the straight edge. So all we do is add these two together to get the whole perimeter of that shape, and this we kind of round that down, and I've rounded that down to 36.76.